Well, that's not going to work today. That's awesome. Make sure we're actually coming through. That's awesome. Good. My intro is not working today, and I don't know why. Actually, I know why. Watch this.
Get behind me!
One more!
I'm not through with you yet.
Up we go!
Oh, look at that, it's his little friend. Let's watch them die together, shall we?
No!
It's game over for both of you.
No. Just for me. I'm bad, and that's good. I will never be good, and that's not bad. There's no one I'd rather be than me.
You fool! Why are you going into the lot? No, yes, no, yeah, no, go into the lot.
Okay, so I got it working. Swiss, I saw you there. Bernie, good morning. Lucky anybody made it today. All right, let me share a different screen because you know how I do. Ta-da! Whoops. Go for the right tab. There we go. I'm lucky anybody made it today because I did not send out notifications. I didn't even take this unlisted until 2 hours ago. So I'm lucky anybody made it. I really am. Good morning. Today is 1 September 2022. Wow. Really? Already? Okay, moving on. First, for this week's news that is applicable to us collectively. If you haven't been watching the news, 2 weeks ago, Mar-a-Lago got raided. And I know some people say, oh, raid, that's an exaggeration. No, not really. All right, the video footage from outside shows what looks like a small army surrounding the place and going through. Yeah, I think raid would probably be the appropriate word here. Over some documents. Okay. I have an opinion about who should be allowed to have those documents under what circumstances. But let's move on past that for a moment. What's come out is really pretty benign. And the attempts to make it sound like it was much worse, the documents were much worse than they really were, isn't helping things any. That brings us to the question, and Tim Pool's brought this up, so don't start with me about fake news or whatever, that it might be bringing us to a crossroads situation where things are going to get worse rather than better. All right. Let me put this the way it really is with me. If we're going to have a civil war, I'd rather do it sooner rather than later. It'll be a whole lot less ugly and nasty the sooner it gets done and over with. I wish we had done this back in 2017 when it would have lasted a few months. Everything would have it would have burned pretty quickly. And even in 2017, I was thinking, geez, it'd been so much easier if we'd done this a couple of years ago. Right? So the sooner we get this done and over with, the less painful it'll be in the end. That's where I am. All right. Good. I got that. It's done and out of the way. All right. I want to give a few shout outs, and I've said this before. Sometimes the love doesn't go both ways. There are a few people out there that I would not in 100 years want their love. All right. I want their hate and contempt. And and one in particular said, bear with me, I can't remember the exact quote. Oh, we don't like mandatory anything. Okay, I'm okay with that. See, I didn't tell you who it was. You'll never figure that part out. I did that. By the way, I did that very deliberately. I don't want their love. I'd rather they hate me. The reason being, I don't want moms demand blood money coming back and saying, oh, you're only supporting them because you have a financial interest or an ideological interest or something else. Now, they don't talk about us for exactly that reason, and I'm okay with that too. They've never specifically said, please don't talk about us, and so I'm okay. I think I'm okay for now. Sometimes that's the way it's got to be. So I want to do some shout outs this week. I'm going to start with the one where I do have the conflict of interest, Pod Home. For those of you that have been following the channel for a while, you should know that I actually am Pod Home by myself. Fixed Bayonets is not part of it. Brent wasn't part of it. Papa Carey is not even part of it. And all of the people I've spoken to have given advice and suggestions, but support, not so much. I'm okay with that. When I speak as mandatory carry, I can say anything about Pod Home I want. You can't stop me. When I speak as Pod Home, I will never, ever say anything nice or anything at all, if I can avoid it, about mandatory carry. That's the way it's got to be. All right, Pod Home. It's a concept, it is a homelessness concept. In Japan, they have something called pod hotels. It's a box. It's about 3.5 feet wide, 3.5 feet tall, and about 6 feet deep. Just about big enough for a adult human male to get into comfortably. Oh, excuse me. All right. They have barrack style heads and showers if I understand correctly, most of them are two toilets and one toilet and a sink to every pod, and one shower for every 2 or 3 toilets and sinks. I found out a couple of them skimp a little bit on the showers. Well, that kind of makes sense. I first heard about this 2001 or 2, maybe a little bit later, and realized that's a really good model for a homeless shelter. One man to a pod. It's very secure. It's very comfortable, according to everybody who's ever been in one. In the United States, there's at least 2. One is at Atlanta Airport, and because of the way is it FAA or just federal in general? Anyway, regulations are written. That hotel is actually closed. There's an on airport property, but not airport owned hotel. As long as that hotel remains open, the airport cannot open the pod hotel, because then they're competing with the private sector. And that's not something they're allowed to do. And this makes sense at some levels. The pod hotel is behind the security security checkpoint, which I would argue makes it a separate entity, because you have to go through security to get into the airport. You don't have to go to security to get to the airport hotel outside the building. This is just me speaking. It doesn't even affect Pod Home because it's still in that security area. My proposal was to build a pod hotel in every major city. Every major means anything over 100,000 people. After the initial construction costs, which can be very high or very low, depending on where we are and what specifics we implement, it would actually pay for itself. All right. How would it pay for itself? Well, the people who are living there will still be paying some kind of rent. It will pay itself off through that eventually. Hey, Squatch made it. That's cool. Okay, I saw that, Bernie, and I will get to you in a moment. Sooner or later, it'll pay itself off. I acknowledge very strongly, yes, it's a matter of eventually, not immediately. It'll take probably a few decades for a pod home to pay itself off. It is what it is. I know this. But it'll also pay itself off by getting people off the streets. This is a consideration most people don't make. Every one person who's on the street is a couple $1,000s down the toilet for the society that's affected by that person. Whether it's because they're not working, or because the cops have to come around, or somebody has to clean something up, or whatever the circumstances are. Society ends up dumping a couple $1,000s down the toilet every month, or every year, excuse me. As the percentage of homeless to not homeless increases, that couple thousand rises exponentially. It also opens up a couple other avenues. Now, the connection between homelessness and drug addiction and mental illness is a real thing. I would argue that a lot of people have put everybody has put the cart before the horse, even though they haven't inspected the horse or the cart yet. Being homeless makes you paranoid, makes you stressed out. How much of the drug addiction and mental illness connection is related to becoming homeless to begin with? That's a great question. I wish we could answer that. We can't. So sociologists just write it off. Oh, he's homeless and he's mentally ill. Obviously, being mentally ill is the reason he's homeless. No, not necessarily. Either way, by definition, there would have to be a lobby because you don't want people living on that first deck. Somebody will break in or something and create problems. That's just the way it is. That's also a perfect space for food services. Yes, we do have to feed these people to some degree, even if it's bologna sandwiches, bologna and cheese wrap, which is where you take one piece of bread, put a piece of bologna on it, put a piece of cheese on it, you roll it up. Right? At some level, they still have to be fed. Sheriff Arpaio of Maricopa County went that route with one of his jail camps. Y'all know who I'm talking about. You all know what I'm talking about, so don't play stupid with me. Okay. Rant over. He was able to get those costs down to a few cents a day per person. That was a pretty good deal for Maricopa County until he left. I don't know if they're still doing that or not. It would also provide an ideal space for drug abuse, counseling recruitment, and mental health counseling recruitment. I know when I was homeless, yeah, I have a vested interest here. I was kind of borderline crazy because I was paranoid, because people really were out to get me. It wasn't the me per se. It was just, there's somebody there. There's a car there. We could steal a car. Oh, there's somebody in the back. Got to deal with that first. And didn't realize that I slept with brass knuckles on. Also, I didn't hang around long enough to find out if they were going to come back. That would be the perfect location because these people have got to transit through the lobby anyway. Sooner or later, it's going to get through to them. Hey, there's a table there. There's a drug counselor there. I got a heroin addiction. I got a meth addiction. I got a this or that addiction. Maybe I should go talk to them. Just talk to them. Sooner or later, they are going to go talk to the counselors. It really is kind of as simple as that. All right, I'm going to go over something related to my earlier rant about Mar-a-Lago. Bernie says, FBI is out of control in the first place. Second, the witch hunt is making the base stronger, in my opinion, bringing more people into the party, in my opinion. Yeah, he said, in my opinion, twice. Folks, it's true. It's a witch hunt. And they couldn't get him on the dunking chair, so they're going to try him on the rocks. I forgot what that specific thing is called. And you know what? I've seen this happen. There are people that 6 months ago hated Donnie with an all-fiery passion and wanted nothing more than for him to be hung. No trial, no nothing. Who are now saying, wait a second, if they did that to him, they could do anything to me. And are starting to say, maybe this isn't such a hot idea after all. Hey, Swiss, I would rather you focus on driving than listen to me rant and ramble for 2 hours. So please, please pay more attention to the road. And somebody needs an exorcist. All right. So that's where it is. Let's move on. My second shout out, holdmyguns.org. And actually, I'm going to put that up on a banner. Edit this. I wish I thought to do this earlier. Okay, we're going to show that now. There it is, guys. It's badly written because I just did it. All right. I can live with that. What they do is they put usually gun stores, but they can work with anybody who has an FFL and is willing to hold on to guns for people who are in crisis. This one is near and dear to my heart because a former shipmate in 2003, 2003, just before I went on active duty, he lost his battles with his demons. I don't know what his demons were. I have no idea. I didn't know there was a problem until we were all told that he'd killed himself. All right. We normally wouldn't have even heard about it, except that, because he had just come off active duty, and that might have had something to do with it. I don't know. Nobody knows. Guys, I'm going to be playing with the computer for a second because I kind of made a mistake. Oops. Okay. Sorry about this, folks. Oop. Hide that. Edit that. There we go. Right. MK2. He lost his battle with his demons and he took his life. It hit all of us like a bolt from the blue. Well, it hit me like a bolt from the blue, and maybe it did others. I don't know. I do know that it influenced some of the circumstances that would lead up to my own suicide scare. About August, September. About 7 months later. Everybody around me was now so paranoid about suicide that they were seeing it in everyone. Most of us were able to reconcile that and say, yeah, well, Seaman Smith is stressed out, but he's not suicidal. Or Chief's pissed off or stressed out, but he's stressed out because he's pissed off because the Jenny isn't running properly, or whatever the circumstance was. Unfortunately, I got caught into a bad situation where somebody became obsessed with the subject, told a chief that I was suicidal, and I got put on light duty. And I didn't know why. This was all behind my back. I'm going to go there. This is part of military regulations, and it's a bad regulation. It creates more problems than it creates hundreds of problems for everyone it solves. But my career got stalled. I wasn't suicidal. I was just not going to ever report back for duty ever. And then some surrounding circumstances came along. And I realized one night, yeah, I have a problem. I was fortunate. I was able to turn to Papa Carey and say, Dad, I think I need you to take the guns to Reading. Son of a bitch, half an hour later, they were gone. I never did talk to Mom about this. I recovered. I'm okay now. I'm really okay now. But I did have that period. I was fortunate. I had somebody I could turn to. MK2 didn't. Excuse me, MK3 didn't. I'm gonna hold my guns. Sarah talked in a few times about what inspired her to start was that a friend of hers lost, I assume, her battle with her demons as well. And she had nobody to turn to. Hold My Guns can do no wrong, no matter the circumstances in my eyes. And there is some reasons why they don't like me. It is what it is. But they can do no wrong by me, period. And if you can do anything to help them, if you have an FFL, please reach out to them. They need help. Right, the next one is Walk the Talk America, WTTA. Okay, what's up? All right. I don't care what subculture, and it is subculture. That is the proper term. You talk about, you will always everywhere find someone who is part of this subculture and a gun owner. Even if you're talking about gun control advocates, you are going to find gun control advocates with concealed carry permits. As hypocritical as that sounds, as hypocritical as that really is, they exist. And Shannon Watts is one of them. Yeah, I just said that out loud. So the mental health community tends to be a little bit more to the left than, say, factory workers. We love you, Susan. Mental health workers tend to be a little bit more to the left than, say, factory workers, as a general rule. The idea of mental health worker with a gun strikes some people as just implausible. Well, guess what? Not only are they there, but Walk the Talk was started by Michael Saldini and his partner. God, son of a bitch. Not son of a bitch. I'm the son of a bitch. I forgot his name. I feel terrible right now, guys. If you ever see this, I apologize. Michael was Eagle Importers. And if you were in the gun community at all, that name you'd be like, what? Yeah, they were one of the biggest names in mostly ammo, but some guns as well. He walked away from that multi-million-dollar business completely when a colleague at the company lost his battle to suicide. Wow. That's seems to be a theme here, right? um, Michael turned to some people that he knew in the psychiatry community and said, we need to start reaching out to the gun community. And they did. They started talking much more openly. And after about a year or so, they finally, the psychiatrist in particular, decided, you know what, I just got to come out. I got to come out of the gun closet and say, yes, I have I think said he has a concealed carry permit. Maybe he only owns guns. I'm not sure now. I got to come out of that closet and stop pretending I don't. Together, they started Walk the Talk America, WTTA, and they give psychiatric aids. They actually specialize in psychiatric and I think psychological help to gun owners. Guess what? We got problems too, right? Me, I'm paranoid. If I lived in Las Vegas, man, I'd be down there knocking on their door. They'd know my real name. Actually, they don't know it, but they have heard my real name. It's somewhere in the back of their mind. They haven't put two and two together. I'm going to go there a little bit. Ghost Tack and Sasquatch, Caucasian Sasquatch, have heard my real name, my real full legal name, the one that appears on my social security card. They haven't put two and two together yet. Swiss Miss is not, and to the best of my knowledge, Bernie has not. There's a couple other people that have been in live streams or commented or whatever. And there's one in particular. Has liked the Facebook page, is not following YouTube channel. I think she follows the Instagram channel. I know I've seen her like a couple of my posts there. Has absolutely no fucking clue that she's also on my Facebook friends list. And doesn't even realize it. Or if she does, she's really quiet about it. All right? You'd be surprised at the people you actually do know. Or the people that know you, at least. And yeah, I mean, if I lived in Las Vegas, which is I live in Reno, so that's like saying if I lived in Iran, the kind of scales we work around here. I'd be on their client list. All right. As far as Pod Home goes, the best thing anybody could do is go to your local city council and say, hey, look at this idea. Please give it some consideration. Right. Pod Home is not a nonprofit. Hold My Guns and Walk the Talk are. They also have a revenue generation system. Pod Home does not. I will not accept a single penny for Pod Home for exactly the reasons of conflicts of interest and blah, 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 blah. I can give money to Pod Home because basically it's my money I'm giving to the project I'm working on. Be like if I went to the store and bought a hammer, right? Bernie says that, I assume Mike, was on a chat with CloverTac. So that's cool. That is really cool. Everybody loves HMG and WTTA. Literally everybody. I've never heard anybody say a bad word about them. The worst thing I've heard about any of the above is somebody associated with one of those two. That's as far as I'm willing to go. Said, we don't love mandatory anything. That was me, right? And yes, those words were said, and yes, they were right to say it, whether it's true or not. It is true, by the way. Okay. Well, welcome back then, Squatch. Everybody loves them. And you know what? They deserve it. They are literally saving lives one way or another. I'll take them both. I would love to see all four of them on a panel with somebody, well, everybody in the gun community. Like, actually, everybody. Like, one after another. Maybe, one a day, every day for a year. I would love that. I would fund that. Holy shit! I will. I'm saying it right now. If with certain exceptions, I'm talking about somebody who recently went to prison from the gun community for something that he actually did do. But anybody else that might be included, is not capable of entertaining WTTA and HMG, I will pony up $250 through the two of them to help fund that effort. If everybody will step up and say, yeah, we'll put them on a panel, we'll put them on a live stream, we'll put them on a interview that we upload. Like, I don't care how. I really don't care how. I will pony up $250. It is 75 to one, 75 to the other every month for 6 months. There. I'm committed. I did it. All right, fine. I'm in it now. And it's safe to say that because I know there's always going to be somebody that says, hey, yeah, I don't like them. Or I don't like the other one. I don't care. In fact, I'm thinking of a specific name right now. Yeah. He would say no in a heartbeat. But I would love to see that. They deserve the love. They actually deserve the love. To the best of my knowledge, and I'm talking about basically 4 people. All right. 2 over at HMG and 2 over at WTTA. To the best of my knowledge, this is none of their job. None of them are paid for doing this. I don't know how Mike is supporting himself and his family now. I actually kind of don't. I really fucking don't care. I know his partner is still a paid employee of the practice that he works at. So, okay, well, yeah, he should be. WTT or HMG, they don't actually have. That's not their job. I don't think Sarah's ever talked about her job. And her partner, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot her name. Damn it. Anyway, her full-time job is somewhere else doing something else. And that's all I'm going to say about that, because that's all I actually know about that. They don't, this is not, they're not getting a paycheck from their orgs. They deserve all that love plus some more, because they're doing that on their own time and their own dime. It is very fair to say that I have a financial interest in Pod Home, because if I ever ended up homeless again, that's exactly where I would turn. That's exactly the direction I would go. So, yeah. Right? That's one more reason why Pod Home doesn't have a funding stream. I'm going to get into a little bit of a rant about the Pod Home thing. About a year and a half before the pandemic hit, I turned to a organization and said, hey, I could use a little bit of help if you could give me a shout out. That's all I asked for. If you could mention this. They said no. I asked why. They said because it's not a nonprofit, and they gave two other reasons. Did you see a link there for Patreon or Subscribestar or PayPal or Venmo or anything? No. It's a little bit more professional about it than that. By the way, this was also another suicide prevention group. Well, the connection between homelessness and suicidal ideation is like pretty strong. So them saying, well, we're not even going to mention you was kind of wow. They don't exist anymore, by the way. I'm just saying. Oh, I'm going to go on for a few more minutes. Okay. I'm going to show this. I can't even pronounce that word. I can barely sound it out. Autodidactic. And no, this is literally the first time I've ever seen that word in my life. I hope I pronounced it right. I've never heard that name before in my life. A Pod Home doesn't actually deserve a whole lot of love because we haven't gotten anywhere, because nobody will actually take 5 minutes and give us 5 minutes to make the case. And I tried some. I reached out to This is the one that really pisses me off. I reached out to a candidate for city council in a major city. Oh, I won't say which one. I can narrow it down to Oregon, and not the one you probably are thinking of. She was running for city council. I said, hey, could you take a look at this? Because part of her campaign was ending homelessness. Could you take a look at this? Oh, the only answer she would give is, my record shows that I've been very supportive. It was a very long-winded no. Oh, sorry. I thought you were serious. This is a candidate for public office. who won't even take 5 minutes to look at it because she wants tiny homes, and that's it. I'm gonna I'm gonna say something about pod homes. You actually do see a pod home once in a major motion picture. Now, I don't know what pod home. They may have just made it up for a set for that film. I don't know. But it was The Fifth Element. You see an example of a two-person pod home, which is kind of beyond the scope of what pod homes should be doing. And it is something that's for single homeless adults. And if it's a couple, well, he has to sleep on one deck and she sleeps on the other. What you do during daytime is a totally separate subject. Sorry, guys, I'm going to switch around. Oh, okay. Pretty sure that's not how it works, Squatch, but okay, thanks. Unless you know something I don't. Which everybody does, but anyway. We love you, Susan. I do want to focus on the good for a moment, though. Yeah, I want to go back to the good. Hold my guns and walk the talk are saving lives one way or another. And I don't have that much love for somebody who's not family. As much love for them as I can give out. If you can do anything to help them out, please do. All right. I'm going to stop my camera for a second because my neck. All right. We've hit almost the halfway mark. I'm going to move on to the next subject. Yep. Okay. All right, so normally this next subject is get home back. I've kind of beat that horse to death. Have it ready, get it, put it in your car, put it at your desk, put it wherever it has to be so that you can get it to it in an emergency. And now the situation has hit. All right, what do you do? First of all, if you know a situation is coming down the line, get ahead of it. If you know Antifa is going to hold a rally, hold rallies starting Friday, get out of town. Drive at least a half an hour away. Find a hotel. Pull your kids out of school if you have any. Right? Tell the school we're going on a family trip. They probably will know what's really up, and don't worry about that. Just take the schoolwork with you. Make sure it gets done. If you can do remote learning, great. If you can't, it is what it is. Worst case scenario at this point, if nothing happens, then you have to drive an extra half an hour to work, an extra half hour to get home. No big deal. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you know there's a hurricane coming, you can do this. If you know that there's another situation that is developing, even if it's a natural disaster situation, if you live outside of Mount St. Helens, right? Because there were warning signs for Mount St. Helens, some of them 6 months before it blew, right? Okay. The volcano is getting earthquakes much more frequently than traditionally. Now, that by itself isn't a whole lot. In fact, that by itself is nothing. But other signs that start to say, hey, maybe the volcano's getting ready to erupt, you might want to get out of town. Just a half an hour drive is a long way for a hurricane, for a volcano. Uh, there was a successful prediction of an earthquake once in China in 1950 something, 1953 or 4, I think. They predicted an earthquake like a few days before it was happening, before it hit. Told everybody to get out of town for a couple days. Earthquake hit. Everybody's lives were spared. Perfect situation, right? What you don't normally hear about that story is a couple days later, another place in another city in China suddenly got hit by an earthquake, and there was widespread damage and death because they didn't predict that earthquake. Right? It happens. That's a thing. What a lot of people don't realize, though, is the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake had warning signs, some of them a month beforehand. But nobody noticed because these were seemingly normal. And then a couple days beforehand, abnormal signs started showing up. If they had put 2 and 2 together, which they didn't, they couldn't at the time. I'm not going to sit here and bash on people who are not. Some of them aren't even alive to defend themselves, let alone in a position to do so here. But if they had seen this at the time, they might have turned to the county OES, which the sheriffs were not the county OES yet, and said, hey, we have warning signs of an earthquake. We might want to start considering some alternatives. You know the problem's coming. Get out of town for a week or so. Let us assume that either you can't leave for one reason or another, or that you don't see it coming. Right. The thing has happened. Grab your bag. You're going home now. And I'm going to harp on this until hell freezes over and God dies. I don't care who comes in here and corrects me. For right now, I need you to just get home alive. I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. I don't care if you're the one who set this thing off. Right now, I need you to get home. If you're the one that's the cause of the problem, we can't try you if you're dead. It's as simple as that. You can't be tried if you are dead. All right? Get home for now. We'll talk to you later. Now what do? First thing you do is you go in your house, you lock the door, and time allowing, barricade your windows. It can be more difficult if you don't have the kinds of resources that would allow it. Now, if you live in an apartment up on a second deck, you're in a little bit better a position because somebody has got to get a ladder to break your windows out. If you're up on the third deck, somebody's got to get a fire ladder. You're in great shape there. Barricade your door. Focus on that door. Oh, excuse me. In the meantime, do everything you can to secure your home as best as you can under the circumstances. Start on the street side, then move back. Start on sliding glass doors. If you have a sliding glass door, start with that. Then start on your street side windows and then backyard windows if you have a backyard. When I was living in Sacramento, I had these huge bay windows in the front of the house. At the front of it was a house that had been converted to a triplex. The first window was pretty much always covered because we had the TV and the entertainment system. All it has to be is crowded enough that a person can't crawl through the window. Well, with all that crap in the way, they couldn't crawl through the window. And to push the entertainment center away from the window enough to get in is going to take them a couple minutes. Right? The other front window was covered with shelves. This was actually my birthing area, my birth. And I had my dresser set up underneath the window, had shelves on top of that, and on that shelf was every heavy thing I had in my life other than my guns. Yes, it's easier to push those shelves out of the way than it was the entertainment center, but it was still going to be a couple minutes before you could get in. I was pretty much set there. The upstairs apartments, none of the windows were where you could easily reach them. Now, could you get a ladder and break in those windows? Sure. Yeah. It'd be easier at that point to try to sneak up the back ladder, kick in those doors, and get in that way. And those were not impressive doors, by the way. In that situation, I would have barricaded the doors first. Squatch says, well, did you know a 396, TH 400 crate build is about $8,000? I don't even know what that is, Squatch. Okay. That's the truth. I have no idea what that is. Barricade your doors first, your sliding glass doors first, then your regular doors, then your front windows, then your back windows. And just barricade them as best as you can under the circumstances. They don't have to be 100% covered, all right? This is not quite Night of the Living Dead level shit. Just enough that a person can't crawl through. Let's go back to Night of the Living Dead for a second. They tried to cover the entire window with boards. Besides the fact that they were nailing them in from the inside, which means you could push them in relatively easily. As long as the window's covered enough that you can't crawl in. Now, the zombies are going to reach between the boards. Okay. So stay far enough away from the boards that they can only reach in, and then when they start to, hit them with something hard. Go back off. As for more intelligent opposition, you know what? It's called intelligent opposition for a reason. You can only stop them so far. It's as simple as that. That's the point when you do what you have to do. All right, I'm just going to leave it there because we love you, Susan. At some point, you're going to get to a point where you realize either the situation has calmed down again, the hurricane has passed, the earthquake is, the aftershocks aren't getting smaller and smaller. The Antifas have all gone home. George is chartered a bus for them to go on to the next riot, whatever it is, right? Or this the situation's gone away, or it's calmed down enough, you can make it and leave. At that point, we're talking about bug out bag, which, if you want to talk about bug out bags, I would recommend Ghost Tack first. I'm like 99% sure he's forgotten more about this than I've ever learned. Either way, at this point, we're talking about bug out scenario, and you do what you have to do under those circumstances as well. But the one thing that I differ with everybody out there, I don't believe in a bug out bag per se. You can't get far enough with a single backpack or even a garden way cart, which is the biggest human powered carts that I know of, to get more than a couple miles, realistically speaking. 6 hours. That's pretty much the limit of how far you're going to get. Squatch says very few things can stand against a determined individual with a hammer for long, unless one of those things happens to be either a bear or another human with a hammer. In which case, just hit him again anyway. The hell, it's not going to hurt you. Okay. Yeah, I don't believe in bug out bags per se. You're going to need something to... you're going to need a ride. Whether it's a bicycle, whether it's a station wagon. And of course, Scotch was actually talking about barricades. But then again, I guess so was I, wasn't I? Well, hit the board back on the other side. Maybe you'll hit their hammer square on, and ooh, that'll hurt. Don't do that. But anyway, you're going to need a ride. Car, bicycle, airplane, ski boat, something so that you can move at least 1 mile every minute. Yeah, okay, let's bring it 1 mile every 5 minutes. All right, that's about 6 miles and a half, 5 miles an hour. I guess you could walk that fast, but it's also an endurance issue. Your car can go for 4 hours. You're not going to walk 5 miles an hour for 4 hours. You're going to stop. You're going to rest. You're going to get water. You're going to this, that, and the other thing. These are all things that slow you down. If you can get moving 60 miles an hour, great. Do it. There we go. We love you, Susan. Anything that gets you moving faster than you could have walked. My bicycle has a electric motor in the front. It's called a planetary motor. I think it's planetary motor. I tested it out. I was able to go on the big battery for about 4 hours before the battery went dead. I also had another big battery. It's a 40-mile battery. They say 40 mile. I say more like 30, maybe 35. I also had another big battery, so I could have made it all the way back as well. I'm just saying, and Bernie said it too, getting hit with a hammer might hurt a lot. Bare minimum, it might hurt a lot. Yeah, I have no idea. I've never dealt with a jet ski squatch, except once when I was in the Guard, when it was probably a distress case, but they refused assistance. So, okay, we got to walk away. We love you, Susan. What a lot of you don't actually know yet is I'm working on a cart. It's a wheelchair that was literally, I found it alongside a creek when I was with Papa Carey one day. I'm working on modifying it into a cart. It would be a rickshaw if it was intended for human transportation. I'm going to be taking the wheels were already gone, so that's a non-issue. God damn it, what are those things called? The piece with the front wheels on that swings free. Anyway, the spokes that the front wheel was on were still there, so I took those off. I took the armrest off for a little while to try to try to do some work related to that. But I'm going to be taking the seat off. I'm going to be taking the back off. The seat I'm going to replace with a piece of pulled perforated metal. Excuse me. Just a platform. I have a couple of galvanized steel pipes that I'm going to jam into the tubes that make up the pleather that makes up the seat. Casters, thank you. The casters were still on it. I took those off. I'm going to take the pleather off. The back is just, I'm just going to throw it away. All right. I might keep the two pieces of metal that are meant to hold the back to the whole unit. But other than that, that's total trash to me. The seat, the pleather that makes up the seat, would be good for a couple of days. But that's about it. I'm going to take that off, replace that with a piece of pulled perforated steel. For those of you familiar with the 80s era satellite TV technology, basically the screens that made up the dish, the majority of the dishes on those, the reflector on those. Put a couple of Gardenway cart wheels on it and jam these galvanized steel pipes down the seat support tube, whatever the hell I'm trying to say here. Sooner or later, I'll have photos. You'll be able to say, oh, okay, that's what he's talking about. And those poles, you grab onto those, put a ice chest filled with water if you have to. Ice chest filled with ice, whatever you can get, and be able to walk down the road in the event of a real emergency. Now, my kind of intention was to introduce it at a wasteland weekend, playing the role of water merchant, just to prove that to myself, if nobody else, that yes, this idea worked. It's not a great idea, but it worked well enough to get me out of a crisis. Squatch says, we had a guy called Ol Moses. I think it's O-L apostrophe there, Squatch. He had a rickshaw goat cart. Used to ride it to town with his herd. They go on to mention that turned the goats loose in town. He was probably contract grass and shrub removal because goats will eat shrubs. And they'll just follow him. They know who they belong to. They know their herd. And as long as one of their herd is connected to the cart, probably in great shape. That was my idea. Introduce it at Wasteland Weekend in the role of water merchant. Okay. Apparently, no, he was just shopping. Okay. It's the same concept, only his is goat powered and mine is going to be people powered. Just to prove to myself that yes, this works. Wasteland Weekend. This was also conceived before Wasteland Weekend went from a weekend to a week, so that's going to be a problem. I can't carry enough water to keep that thing full for a week. Well, I could, but I'd have to literally have water, a tank just for that. Okay, Squatch. Whatever. I don't know what the introduction of this contraption is going to be now, but you could use any kind of cart. I actually saw one online for about $350-ish. Foldable cart. And you don't have to wait for a crisis to use it. If you have to abandon your vehicle, you got this cart, you can still haul some stuff, and you got to prioritize. What is the most important thing? Is this 20-gallon tank of water more important, or what? If you're doing this in a really clinically logical way, you probably will be able to transfer everything from your vehicle to your cart. I hope you're doing it in a clinically logical way. No. Squatch, no. Moving right along. Okay. That is your next step. First, get ahead of the problem. If you know there's a problem coming or a potential problem coming, get out of town for a week. Worst case scenario, you drive an extra half an hour to and from work. And you have to go through the inconvenience of going by your kid's school to pick up homework. That's it. Right? If it just overtakes you, which it might, right? 99% of the people, when Loma Prieta hit, it overtook them. Even the scientists who were seeing it coming and watching the machines and stuff. Hello, Shadow? Shades? I've seen that name before. It was a couple of weeks back, I think. Where was I? The scientists who were watching Loma Prieta developing, most of them said, looking back, we see the signs, the warning signs. But at the time, we didn't see them for what they were. Hey, I've been there. I've done that. And I'm not bashing on anybody. All right. Would I have made the same conclusion? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't say. Oh. Oh. Well, that explains a lot, Karn. All right. Well, be on your bestest behavior. But back from the dead. You know what? I am going to say, if you're interested in gaming, check out Shades. Okay, Shades of Dominion is known under a different name. For no fucking apparent reason, Susan nuked the channel. For no reason I know. So he's going to try to rebuild. And you know what? I gave my word that I would help. Let's do... Okay, moving on. Oh, fuck. Where was I? Load up your gear. Have a cart ready. A folding cart would be perfect for almost everybody on Earth, because, and the one I'm thinking of in particular is like $350. Okay, that's a little bit of money that you may not have to throw away all at once. That's the truth. But you can use it outside of a crisis. You can use it inside of a crisis, right? You're in great shape there. Yeah, I mean, shit. If you're gonna go have a picnic at the park, or a birthday party at the park, other than the birthday cake, you could load everything up into the cart, take it down, and then crisis hits during the middle of the birthday. Go home. Go home first, or go out of town, or whatever it is that you particularly do, and get ahead of the crisis that way, and take that water with you, because the water is the biggest thing that will always hold you back. Water is fucking heavy. You can't go more than a couple hours without water. If it's hot or cold, believe it or not, if it's cold out, you're burning a lot of water really fast as well, because you're wearing jackets, you're wearing fleece, you're wearing this, you're wearing that, and you're moving a lot. You're trying to hold the heat in, but your body's still trying to get rid of part of it, so now you're still perspiring. When I was homeless in Oregon in the middle of winter, I would perspire more at night in winter than I did during the day in summer. All right, I know this because my my bunny suit was soaked every night because I was trying to hold the heat in. In summer, I just I would get the sleeping bag off. I wouldn't put the bunny suit on. I'd roll the bunny suit up and taped it up with some painter's tape, blue, I think, blue painter's tape. Tossed it in the back seat down at the down on the deck. I just ignored it. I actually forgot it was there until I left Oregon, and I'm tearing everything out of the car and realized, holy shit, I still got that. Wait, guys. This is actually kind of an interesting point. I trained my Mastiff, Mussolini, to pull cart. If you have an animal Believe me, your dog can carry his own weight. And I'm referring to food, mostly. All right? You don't have to carry the dog food yourself. Hikers do this all the time. Backpackers, campers, tent campers do this all the time. They have dog harnesses for little pouches or big pouches, depending on the size of the dog. They're commercially available. I just haven't. I haven't priced one out in a long time. This is a product that is not familiar to me. Bernie Sanchez says that's why he carries dehydrated water. All right, a little bit of a side note. Squatch pointed out Mussolini doesn't know how to stop. Yeah, well, I'm not familiar with that, with dehydrated water, guys, so my bad. I'm sorry. All right. Now, here's the big one. And if this applies to you, you need to start now. Try to get so far ahead of the problem that you're actually not even affected to begin with. Find somebody who's within about an hour's drive. Right? Okay, good. I have about 30 minutes to go over this. Try to find somebody who's within about an hour's drive of where you live. All right? Make some sort of deal with them to set up a shack. Then you can have your electricity, your water, your this, your that, your everything else. And if you can make this a collective effort, then you don't have to make deals with people or as many people, even if it's as little as 1 acre. All right? Because the lake house, damn, I haven't been there in a while. I should go. The lake house, it's like 100 acres of dirt, of which Montesoya or whoever the fuck it is has a legal right to 90% of it. The only place where you could live is this little ridge on top of a rock. Basically, it's just a huge rock. It's less than an acre. It's less than a half an acre, really. And yet somebody back in the 1920s, 30s, whenever the hell he did it, built a house up there, and he was farming the land for himself back then with literally everything. Okay, well, that's great. Well, if Montessori, whoever, wasn't there, that'd be 100 acres of dirt that we could turn into a trailer, an RV park, or a campground, or something. Or maybe just a couple hundred, dozen, whatever, shacks. Yes, it's a shack. It's a shed. When Papa Carey passes away, the current contract will last another 20 years. What I would like to do, if we can, is renegotiate the contract so that there's actually like a 5-acre spot. I have a particular spot in mind, by the way, for sheds. Well, those sheds serve a few purposes. One of them is very, very public. So flea mart. Okay, yes, flea mart. I said it. It is what it is. But in the event of a crisis, then I have space available for friends that have needs. There. That was the plan. Hey, Luke made it. Cool. Because by rights, he shouldn't have been able to make it. Because some jackass forgot to take the stream from unlisted to public until like an hour before it started. Squatch had an electric scooter, stripped it of all the electrics, and let his black lab pull him around town. That would have been very interesting to see. I hope you still have the scooter itself. I would love to see that. Anything. Really anything. And did I mention anything to give you wheels? Get ahead of the problem. Get as far ahead of the problem as you can get. If you can get an hour's drive away, great. If it's a hotel, well, it's not ideal, but it's a whole lot safer than where you were. If you can get a full-on, and I'm going to say this, tiny house type situation, that's a lot better still. And make some sort of deal. All right. Believe it or not, there's a lot of farmland out there that's up for sale. Some of it's very cheap. Some of it's very expensive. You can do what Papa Carey did, which was buy the farm, right, and lease it out. I'm thinking of a place in Oregon. I won't say where. I won't say the proper name. I'll say it's in Klamath Falls area. Just before the divorce, I was looking at buying this farmland, and I was going to do something kind of similar to what Papa Carey's doing, only not in California, because fuck California. Fuck you, Gavin. But anyway, rent out all of the farmland and build the shack right up by the road, because the house is way the hell in the back. I don't want to deal with that. I want to be able to get to safety. Where was I? Okay, so Squatch is asking how much land. More, in the language of my people. More. And you rent out most of it. Well, you're non-tenant farmer. I was doing something sort of like this when I was in Colorado, only that it was fallow land. Something feds said you can't do anything with this dirt, so that somebody else can do something else with their dirt. I don't fully understand it. My job when I was in Colorado was to make sure that the water pumps still worked, so I'd have to start them once a week. The generator still worked, so I'd have to start it up once a week. And take care of the house, which was a mobile home. It wasn't a house, it was a mobile. It wasn't even really a mobile home. It was a thing from the 1950s when mobile homes and camper trailers were the same thing, right? That's That's the truth. Um, Maybe it was the 40s. I don't remember. I don't even think there was any documentation left on that place. But anyway, take care of that. Make sure the pumps still worked. Make sure the Jenny still worked. And just generally take care of the place. And for this, I was paid a stipend, $150 a month, plus free rent and electricity, free utilities. Yeah. That's the deal I had there. Now, that deal ended because the feds backed off on their thing about you can't grow anything or you can't do anything with this dirt. Well, okay, whatever. And so they sold the property. The owners sold the property to somebody else who wanted to start doing something. Well, I was kind of shit out of luck. All right. I'm going to highlight this one. Squatch said, I was asking because I've been looking for 40 acres or so, but if I had something else in it, bulk. Well, yeah, as long as it's usable for your purposes here. I would grab that in a heartbeat. Moving right along. A place to go. Get out of town. You have to make a few unusual arrangements. So you make a few unusual arrangements, right? If me and my siblings can hold on to Lake House, when that current lease, expires, we're just going to threaten to not renew, or at least my intention is to threaten to not renew the contract unless they agree to the new terms, which is the new 5-acre plot that's set off to the side. Yeah, okay. Well, we can't do anything to stop you, so we'll agree to giving up 5 acres that they haven't been using anyways. It's a particular area, actually. It's 5 acres. It's on the wrong side of the access, the driveway. It's on the wrong side of the driveway. And when they come out, they usually park their vehicles there. But that's like once a month, every couple months, whatever. I'm not quite sure. That's more dad's shit. I don't know. But anyway, they're not really using it anyway. What do they care? Oh, yes. Yeah, I know you've talked about that one, Squatch. Okay, we've got an hour and a half. I'm kind of beating a dead horse here. Not a dead dog. So I'm going to move on to the next subject. Okay. Oh, and it's a long one anyway. So I'm going to stop that screen and share another screen. Oh, you know what? I'm going to toss this one out there first. All right. I made this literally just this morning. This is from Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince, chapter 20. Some princes, so as to hold securely the state, have disarmed their subjects. There has never been a prince who has disarmed his subjects. Rather, he has armed them. Those arms become yours, and your subjects become your adherents. Now, he would say a whole lot more about this. Like, that's almost 1.5 paragraphs worth of material boiled down to one sentence. He flat out says there's some people you can't arm, and some people that you have to disarm. under certain circumstances, but those arms become yours. All right. Damn. One of these days, I'm gonna like be a professional and stuff, and share screen. Okay. Article 3, definitions, section 3, general definitions. This is fucking long. I think I broke this down in 2 parts last time. Or it might not be a bad idea. But anyway, firearm, any weapon that launches one or more projectiles or energy driven by the action of an explosive or energizing force. Stop. Okay. There's no eloquent way to compare a .22 to a laser gun, to a railgun, to a particle beam cannon. This was the best I could do. If you can do better, let me know. But this opens up to the future. I don't want somebody in 1,000 years saying, well, crossbows aren't included because it's not a firearm. Or phasers aren't included because it says firearm, and fire is the key word here, right? I wanted to find a way to cover everything all at once. This was the best I could come up with. Moving right along. Pistols and handguns. Any firearm without a stock intended to be operated by one hand. Long arm. Any firearm with a stock or intended to be fired from the shoulder, for which the barrel shall be 12 inches in length or greater and overall length of 20 inches or greater. Stop. All right, this used to say, I think, 16 inches for the barrel, right? And then the United States Army changed the ground rules. It's not like they were cheating, but they came out with what is currently designated XM5, which has the infantry model, I think, has an 18-inch barrel, and the carbine for everybody who's not dedicated infantry is 8-inch barrel. I'd been wanting for a long time to change that barrel length and overall length to something a little bit more universally acceptable. Well, 12 inches seemed like the right number to me for a very, very long time. And here they are coming out with an infantry, well, not infantry, combat support, I think is what they call it, weapon with an 8-inch barrel. You know what? Okay. That's the Army standard. Add an extra 4 inches, make it 1 full foot. I think we're good here. I really think we're done. Moving right along. Shotgun, any smooth bore firearm intended to discharge a number of smaller projectiles, for which the barrel shall be 12 inches in length or greater and overall length of 20 inches or greater in the configuration as used. All right, that configuration as used is referenced specifically to subposed shotguns. And the main one I'm talking about here is the M25 Master Key. Yeah, I think the M25 Master Key and the Cry Precision 612. When you take the stock off, they are less than 20 inches. But you can't use them as is, especially the Master Key. The trigger is literally all the way at the rear, and you'd have to somehow pull it away from you or something. I don't know. I would never be able to figure that one out. If you mount it onto the AR-15 or an M16 or an AK-47 or a fill in the blank, and it is now over 20 inches, you're good to go. Okay. Moving right along. Assault weapon. Any firearm fed by a magazine detachable without use of tools, capable of discharging by design alone 2 or more rounds per singular trigger activation. Stop. All right. Assault weapon is a thing. And M16s, M2 carbine, Sturmgewehr, which, by the way, does not translate into assault rifle. All right. A million other examples are out there. What they all have in common is those 2 details. Magazine detachable without use of tools, because you can detach any magazine if you have tools. And tool is not defined, so yes, bullet button would not qualify. You still have to use a tool to remove a bullet button equipped magazine. Capable of discharging by design alone 2 or more rounds per singular trigger activation. That is a not quite direct reference to double barrel guns. Some of them, because the way they are designed, you can preset one trigger so that when you activate the second trigger, both barrels will go off. Well, yeah, but that's still 2 trigger activations. All right, it's that simple. So no, your double barrel shotgun, even if it's 1 trigger and there is no presetting or anything else. Well, yes, if there's no presetting, then it would still be a assault weapon for that limited purpose, but it's double barreled, so it probably doesn't cover anyways. Otherwise, it's still not an assault weapon. Moving right along. Machine gun. Any firearm fed by continuous feed system. The continuous feed system reference. Okay, good. Includes, for someday when we do come up with laser guns, if you can plug the gun into a wall outlet, it is now a machine gun. It doesn't say anything about automatic. There's a reason for that. Autocannon. Any machine gun of .5 caliber, 12.7 by 99 millimeter or larger. I'm a little bit negotiable about that number. I could come down if you can make a real case for a smaller. But otherwise, no. And we're talking about the M2. Rotary gun. Any rotary multi-barrel machine gun, regardless of caliber. If it is not continuous feed, it is not a machine gun. It would not be a rotary gun. This is a reference to a 9mm rotary gun that's fed by Glock mags. It would not be a rotary gun because it's not continuous feed. All other weapons. Any firearm that does not match a classification herein contained shall require an all other weapons permit and registration. Such permits shall be issued upon completion of a standard NCIC background check without discovery of an exclusion. All peace officers shall be issued a Class 3 permit without other restriction. Now, we go into this a little bit further later on in the document, or in the proposal. Body armor. Body armor refers to all protective clothing designed to absorb and or deflect attack by weapons. Other protective gear, personal protective equipment. Any gear or garment worn to protect against contamination, infection, or injury not caused by a weapon. Handheld. Weapons meant to be held in an average human's hand without expelling a projectile or projected energy. Knives, hammers, forks, spoons. Because, Sheriff Nottingham was going to cut Loxley's heart out with a spoon, etc. Armor penetrator, any munition proven to penetrate military-grade personal body armor in 9 out of 10 tests. Stop. Certain ranges will not allow steel core ammo because it's armor penetrator, even though this brand isn't, that brand is, whatever. This brand of steel core ammo is not an armor penetrator, but they don't allow it because everybody knows steel core is armor penetrator. Well, if it doesn't penetrate military grade body armor in 9 out of 10 tests, it's not a armor penetrator. You can take it to the range. Moving right along, suppressor or silencer? Stop. I'm tired of this suppressor or silencer argument. I don't want to hear it. All right? Did them both at the same time. For those of you that say it's a suppressor, not a silencer, well, silencer is the word on the patent application. For those of you that say it's a silencer, not a suppressor, well, you know what? It doesn't silence that fucking well. All right? I don't want to hear about it. Both words are applicable. That's it. I'm done. Moving right along. Any device intended to reduce the noise or noises created by any weapon. Magazine. Any device intended for the holding of munitions. Magazines of less than 10 round capacity may not be used in long arms except for maintenance and repair purposes, using any type of inert round or for storage in empty status or in regulated competition shooting during an organized event. I don't like 10 round mags. I call them concealment mags, because a 10 round mag will fit into most guns and stick out just that tiny little bit that you can conceal a fucking rifle under your jacket. There is a few exceptions. Maintenance and repair. All right. Do you really need a 30 round mag clip for servicing a gun, for repairing a gun? No. And there might be a reason for a competition to be limited to 10 rounds. I don't know. So I left that option open. Barrel shroud. Moving right along. Barrel shroud. Any components install on a firearm or other ranged weapon solely to protect the barrel or like components. I'm getting tired of people calling the forward stock on an AR-15 a barrel shroud. It's not. It's part of the stock. It is there primarily for you to grab onto to steady the weapon. Speaking of which, moving right along, forward stock. Any covering or extension of a barrel or other ranged weapon intended to protect the user from the effects of the weapon, regardless if it protects the weapon or not. The default is always forward stock. If it is literally only there to protect the gun, then it is a barrel shroud. Otherwise, it is a forward stock. Moving right along, PPE, personal protective equipment, any article. Oh, wow, that's a double listing. Okay, so, whoops. You know what? I think that's my computer trying to tell me that I need to cut that off there. So I'm going to stop that screen. I'm going to share the chat. I'm going to review the chat because I fell a little behind. That's a long section. You know, I can see that on my StreamYard Squatch. I think I found it other places. They're generally not, because Seville, yes. And then I'm looking at your quarry. Kaylin. Might have to leave this open. Hey, Ozzy, sorry, I was a little distracted when you walked in. And Squatch, but Carrie, we keep moving along. You never take us anywhere nice. No, I am the reason you can't have nice things, people. I know it. I'm okay with it. No, even then, you're not going to have nice things because of me. Oh, damn. Sorry about that, folks. We are at minute 50. Yeah, my computer told me exactly when to stop. All right. So, get ahead of the problem. All right. If you can get out of town before there's a problem, do it. If you don't have a place to go right now, go to a hotel. Go to something. If you can't get ahead of the problem, just get home. Barricade your doors, wait a couple of days and see what happens next. And then get out of town if you can. Or if you have to. All right? Wheels. You will never get far without wheels. It's as simple as that. Want to give a little bit more love to Hold My Guns and Walk the Talk America. Anything you can do to help them, please. I would consider it a favor. Even if it's $5, or even if it's, you go to your local gun store and say, hey, I heard about this thing called Hold My Guns. Do you think you could maybe take a look at it and consider helping them out? Right now, there's some states where this is a problem, and they may say no for other reasons. It is what it is. Also, I forgot to say, Hold My Guns is the inspired an exemption, a conditional exemption under Daetslov. It's the maintenance and repair exemption. What's the maintenance? What's wrong with your gun? Oh, the sights are messed up, or the trigger is sloppy. I make up an excuse. I don't care. Doesn't matter, right? Any excuse is fine. You have that little piece of paper that you can, or the receipt that you can show the cop at the time that he stopped you. Hey, where's your gun? It's at the gun show. Why? First of all, he can't ask that, but he will anyway. Have an excuse. The trigger's sloppy. Sights are off. Whatever. Oh, it's failing to extract half the time. I don't know why. So they're repairing it. Really? Do you have the receipt from the gun shop? Oh, yes, I do. Here you go. And it's the name is Squatch. I'm going to pick on you. Name Caucasian Sasquatch. Firearm. Glock 22. Okay. Turned in, 3 March 2022. And this is September. Well, there's nothing I can do about that. Maybe the cop knows you're lying to him. Maybe he doesn't. But even then, he's going to know, hey, you turned in your gun in March and this is September. Oh, okay. Here's your card back. Have a good day. Okay, so the guy turned his guns in because he's having some personal problems. It is what it is. He's going to walk away because he'd rather not write that ticket than come draw a chalk outline around your body. I guarantee that each and every time. Okay. And Hold My Guns inspired that whole thing. It was a live stream, I think, with Ghost. Yeah, I think it was a live stream with Ghost Tactical where Sarah's talking about what they do. And so, oh my God, I never thought of that. Hey, I can do that. That's easy. Huh. All right, I'm going to point this one out. If for circumstances beyond maybe your control, you're not able to carry a gun, you have a baseball bat in your trunk, you have just a baseball bat, every cop will, boom, you're arrested. That's it. Doesn't even matter if something's happened or not. You may not be arrested. He might just take the bat from you and say, hey, why do you have a baseball bat in your trunk? Because I play baseball a lot? No. A ball and a glove, and you really want to get fancy dancy. A baseball helmet is not that much. All right? Toss it in there with it. Toss in there with that maybe something else related. Then you say, I play baseball like every week. Cop has to prove that's a lie. Good luck with that. Oh. I did not have a boating accident. I had a divorce. My guns are at the bottom of Polk County landfill. My guns from that time frame. All right. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up with that. All the love to hold my guns and walk the talk. Get out of town if you can. 9017 is coming, whether you believe me or not. Iran created the coronavirus. And keep calm and mandatory carry on.